Welcome back, everybody, to Bears Talk today. We're live on YouTube, on ACTV, and man, what was that? What happened?
As in Spanish, the word for trash is basura.
That's how bad our season's going. Is that we're coming
Yeah.
up with different ways to call the Bears garbage?
Oh man, there's like 1,000 different languages out there. So I mean,
Yeah. No, it. Yesterday was not fun. Yesterday was not fun. And I think we could talk about the game, and we'll get there.
Yeah.
But let's just talk about the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
Hail Mary, right? The Bears lost on a Hail Mary. They took the lead in the fourth quarter, and then they let the Commanders go about 80 yards in 15, 20 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
I think that I want to just talk about this Hail Mary because it wasn't some fluky, lucky play. It didn't represent, a 1 in 100, slot machine or something. It was not luck. This was a lack of execution, and it was a lack of coaching on the behalf of the Chicago Bears.
Yeah.
First of all, you let Terry McLaurin, the play before, get the easiest 15-yard completion of his life. Now, Matt Eberflus said after the game that play, they weren't concerned about it and it didn't really matter. And to me, that's maybe even more concerning than the fact that they lost because that play is what allowed the Commanders the distance to be able to get off a Hail Mary to potentially win the game, right?
Yep.
We know Jayden Daniels has a strong arm. We know that his ribs are hurt and everything. They would not have gotten the ball in the end zone if not for those free 15 yards that the Bears conceded the play before. So that's number one. You see the play, the guys, the DBs they seem lost. It seems like there's a lack of communication. It was mayhem. They get the 15 yards, right? Then on the Hail Mary, you have a play in which the Bears rush 3 people. The Commanders double team every pass rusher. So your 3 defenders are basically null because A, they're not going to get through a double team, and B, those big boys are not catching up to Jayden Daniels. They've been working their butts off all game. They're tired. Jayden Daniels is one of the fastest quarterbacks. They're not catching Jayden Daniels, right? You have TJ Edwards in a quarterback spy. What does that do on a Hail Mary situation? It's not like he's going to run for 60 yards. Okay. Then the most egregious part of this play is that you have Tyreek Stevenson, talking to the fans, talking smack, waving, saying probably nah, doing that, right? He thinks the game's won. He's got his back turned to the play. Jayden Daniels is scrambling around buying time. Then, in a panic, runs over to the scrum, tips the ball in the air, which is caught by Noah Brown. And I also want to point out the scrum because, again, Hail Marys are not coincidental. They are schemed, right? During a Hail Mary, yes, you have your scrum of players, and all the players are taught offensively to run to one spot in the field. But also, there are 2 players that are designated to be in front of the scrum and behind the scrum. In case the ball is tipped, that player can then catch it and score a touchdown. The Bears did a good job of protecting the front man, which was Terry McLaurin. He was in front of the scrum. He was about 5 yards ahead of the end zone. If the ball would have bounced that way, Terry McLaurin would have had a chance to catch it. But Jalen Johns was right there to bring him down or to tip the ball. But the most important part of this defense is to have a man in the backside to protect against a ricochet like that. And I have no idea why the Bears left Noah Brown totally unaccompanied. And it tipped up perfectly. Again, when you're in a Hail Mary defense, you're taught to swat, not tip. You don't want to play volleyball. You don't want to tip it up in the air. That makes it easier for a offensive player to catch the football. You are taught to 2 hands, swat it down. And I understand that it's really hard to get on the top of that pile. But what Tyreek Stevenson did is he stuck his hand straight up, it bounced forward, and it landed right into the hands of Noah Brown. So just an absolute coaching disaster class on the behalf of the Chicago Bears. The Commanders, on the other hand, were ready for that situation. Now, again, you still need some things to go your way. It was a bad bounce of the ball, absolutely. But the Commanders were way more prepared for that situation than the Bears were. And that is, I think, one of the big stories of this game is how poor the Bears coaching was. And, of course, it culminated with a Hail Mary, the Commanders absolutely breaking the hearts of the Chicago Bears. And, truthfully, Justin, while the Bears did take the lead late in that game, by and large, the Commanders deserved to win that game. The Bears were about to steal a game away from the Commanders in Washington, which is something that all good teams do. I mean, look at how many weeks we say how the heck did the Chiefs win that game?
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes threw 3 interceptions. They don't have a receiver, but they win those games.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just got to steal a game that you don't play your best in.
Mm-hmm.
The Bears were about 5 seconds away from doing that, and they blew it. And this is the most Chicago Bears loss I've ever seen in my life. I could not believe my eyes.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, I'm right there with you. I just felt like on that last play of the game, they just gave up. It didn't feel like – I felt like the Bears in their mind were just like,
the game was over for them.
Yeah, the game was over, and it clearly was not. I mean, Jayden Daniels had about 7 years to throw the ball, and I'm just like it was just sad to see. And you listed a lot of great points. I think definitely like looking at that, I'm just like, what happened? I mean, we didn't score until the third quarter. Like, we went from having a streak of winning games, of scoring, killing teams, to not even scoring at all against the Commanders out of all teams. It just is. It's very painful to see. And one thing that I do want to list, I mean, they're technically, if you want to count the London game, because they were they home? Were they
technically they were the home team? Yes.
Yeah, but if you're so technically they're 1-3, but technically it's 0-3. They haven't won a road game this year, and that's been our consistent issue, is that we play good at home, but on the road we struggle. And if we're even going to have a chance to be in these playoffs, hopefully we need to steal some games on the road. Point blank and simple.
No, absolutely. I think that's a great point. You have to steal some games on the road. And listen, full credit to the Commanders fans. That environment was ruckus.
Yeah, you made us eat our words last week. So
yeah. Shout out Commanders fans. Honestly, I was not familiar with your game, and I apologize for that. Right, Commanders fans, that environment, you could tell just from watching the game. That environment was nuts.
Yeah.
But you mentioned like we didn't score for the third quarter, and what's even more concerning for me is that we're coming off a bye. Right.
Yes.
That was plenty of time to kind of get your game script ready, get your style up some good plays, create some opportunities. The Bears in the first, I would say 70% of the game, looked like they had no idea how to run an NFL offense. The play calling was atrocious. The offensive line was atrocious, and there were no, ways to compensate for that. Caleb did look out of sync, and he looked inaccurate and everything like that. The whole entire offense was just off for 70% of this game. Now, I think as the game went on, Caleb found his footing, and I do give him credit because he was good in the fourth quarter.
Yeah,
and that's when we needed him the most.
That's when it counts.
Right?
Yep.
But the coaching did not get much better. Again, it's insane that this is the second worst play of that game yesterday, but they gave the ball to a backup center at the goal line.
Yeah.
In a one-score game in the fourth quarter on the road. What are we doing?
Yeah.
Doug Kramer, I'm not even mad at Doug Kramer because I think that was such coaching malpractice that they deserve to fumble the football there.
They did.
If you even think about giving the ball to a backup offensive lineman in that situation, again, this isn't the 85 Bears, all right?
No.
This isn't William Perry. We're not winning the Super Bowl by 20 points. We can't just mess around and do whatever we want. We're not the Lions, okay? That was a tight game. You do not chance it like that.
No.
And just to add insult to injury, of course, the fumble was recovered by Jerzon Newton, who went to the University of Illinois. So shout out him. But that play call, I think, just encapsulates so much of what Shane Waldron has been for the Bears. He thinks he's way smarter than he actually is.
Yep.
Like with all of his little tricks, and remember he ran the speed option on 4th and goal a while ago. Like he outsmarts himself. There's nothing even that the Commanders did necessarily on that play that was schematically masterful. They just picked up a football that was fumbled on the ground by a backup offensive lineman.
Right.
The Bears should have never, ever, ever been in that spot. They should have never done that. And the next drive, they just gave it to Roschon Johnson, who has been an excellent goal line running back this year. Why would you chance it? The risk reward there is so out of balance. Yeah. And again, you're lucky that our defense for 99% of this game was absolutely lights out because they got you the ball right back. The Commanders went 3 and out after that. And then the offense actually was able to go down the field and score. But I want to mention something else, Justin, and people aren't going to talk about this because the end result was good. They ran back-to-back quarterback design runs for Caleb Williams. What are we doing?
He's not a rusher.
What are we doing? We're running quarterback power to the left side with a backup left tackle that had struggled mightily the whole game.
Yeah,
I did not understand that play call at all. Now, the next play, they had the route to Keenan Allen, which was the pass interference. Giving Keenan Allen a shot in the end zone, I did like. Obviously, the Bears didn't fumble their second opportunity at the goal line. They gave it to Roschon Johnson for the touchdown.
Yeah.
But just the coaching was so horrendous for the Bears.
Very
it
much
was
so.
shockingly horrendous. And again, our defense did such a great job for the vast majority of this game that it actually didn't matter. Once DeAndre Swift in the third quarter got that long rush off, you felt the Bears had some magic.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, Justin, but I'm sitting there in the second and third quarter. It's 9-0. It felt like 20-0.
It did, yeah.
It felt like 20-0. The Commanders were moving the ball, but they weren't scoring touchdowns, and the Bears just couldn't do anything. They get it to 12-0. DeAndre Swift breaks that long rush, which shout out DeAndre Swift, had a really good game. I know that's your guy. But the Bears offense, like, you just feel like Shane Waldron is holding this team back so much. And I've been critical of Waldron, and it's fun to make fun of him. I get it, and it's easy to blame the offensive coordinator on the loss. But this is the exact reason why I make fun of him.
Yeah.
Because he directly sabotages the Bears. Like, 90% of the time when you're at the 1 yard line, you just give it to your running back and score a touchdown. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy, right?
Yeah.
We ended up losing by what, 3 we lost by?
Yep. Felt like 20, but
it felt like more. But we ended up losing by 3 when we could have easily had that last touchdown. So it was just very disappointing. I know I've been yapping.
You're good.
I'll let you get a breath.
I mean, no, you're fine. I mean, you listed some very great points. And also as well, like when I look at this game, I just felt like it reminded me of the first couple of games of the season where we were trying to figure things out. We couldn't score a touchdown. Our defense was really winning us games. But in this instance, it felt like nothing was working on both sides of the ball. And I made a good point in our bye week episode that this was one of the kind of cons of having a bye week, right? When you are winning, you create momentum for your team, and when you stop winning, and you stop creating momentum, and you lose it, right? It becomes like, wait a minute, like I forgot what we've been doing to make us win all this time. Yeah. So it's definitely tough because like I'm thinking we're gonna pick up right where we left back off, and we didn't, right? Yeah. So
they definitely look rusty.
Yeah, they look rusty,
they look
man.
So rusty.
I mean, I get that we have bye weeks and stuff like that, but like I felt like there should have been, I don't know, mandatory. I don't know. I don't know how they practice, but they should have had like
mandatory 2 days every day of the bye week. No,
or something like. Yeah. This is one of those games that I felt like we should have won, and we let it slip away. Even when we got the lead in the fourth quarter, I'm like, okay, you just gotta hold them.
For 20 seconds.
For 20 seconds. That's all I need. Gosh. Like, it just made it even worse because we actually came back and had a lead in that game. I could see if we just got shut out and we were just, oh, man, for 4 quarters we were just trash. But, like, it pains me even more because this team has the potential to be good. They were down, like, what, 15, 12 points for most of the – yeah.
It was 12-0, but it was like – red zone stop, red zone stop. It was like the Commanders had way more yards.
Yeah.
They were driving down the field, and our defense was just bending but not breaking.
Yeah.
So it really, you're right. It felt like it was like 20-0, but it was 12-0.
It was a reachable game. Yeah. Like and the fact that we, one of the, I guess, lone bright spots is we can win football games. Like we've come back from leads. We can do it. But that fourth quarter and the last couple of plays really really screwed us over. So we can kind of jump to our question now.
I also want to. I want to give credit to Caleb before we jump.
Sure,
credit, because for 3 quarters in this game, Caleb did not play well.
No, he didn't.
He was, I think, 4 of 13 for 33 yards, like late in the third quarter. Was not having a good game.
Right.
The fourth quarter came around, and like I said, a ruckus environment in a. Not must-win game, but you very much want to win this game.
Yeah.
Situation.
Yep.
On the road, down 2 touchdowns, and he started clicking. Like he was making some phenomenal plays all night. In fact, I'll give him credit for creating with his legs.
Yeah.
I mean, that offensive line for the Bears was getting beat up left and right. Commanders do have some dogs on their D-line. Don't get me wrong, but he was making stuff happen with his legs. He was extending plays. And late in the game, I mean, that play that throw he made to DJ Moore on the sideline, I thought was chef's kiss beautiful.
Yeah.
Like getting absolutely cracked, putting it in a window. I believe that was cover 2. He put it right before the safety. Absolute chef's kiss. And we need a guy that's going to be a dog in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Like we need a guy who can go out and win this game. And Caleb did his job in that department.
Yeah.
Caleb did his job. So Not his best game.
No.
Definitely took a step down from what he had been the last 3 games.
Mm-hmm.
But I am encouraged by the fact that he was good in the fourth quarter, and that he was, a winner in a winning situation.
Right.
But no, we can jump to our questions. You're absolutely correct. First question I want to ask you, Justin. Why does God hate the Bears? What did we do?
I don't think it's God hating the Bears. I think why do the Bears have such bad OCs and coaches, right?
Yeah.
When you, just like you said in the beginning of our episode, when you look at least the last 5 minutes of the fourth quarter, there are a lot of things I can look at and be like, why was this player in this scheme? Mm-hmm. Why did we run this play? Mm-hmm. So realistically, I feel like if we would have had better coaching, we probably wouldn't even let them. There would not have been even a chance of letting them score after we had the lead, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, and I think what made me even more mad was like the responses, right? Like you said about Eberflus and how he was like, well, we weren't worried about that play. Like, no, you should be. I mean, yes, you never want to show the other team fear or like that you're worried, but in your mind, you're ready to be thinking like, oh snap, like, let's put a stop to this. And I don't think they did. I didn't even get a chance to see the Shane Waldron post game. I don't.
I don't
feel
even
like
want to see the same.
Yeah, I don't even want to see it. So. I don't feel like God hates the Bears. I feel like the Bears hate the Bears. No, the Bears hate. No, they definitely do. No, I feel like the Bears did this to themselves. And the question I was kind of thinking of like is, did the Commanders win or did the Bears lose? And no, the Bears just lost this game because we had a lead. I can see if the Commanders if the final score was 0-18 and we just
didn't
looked
show
off.
up. Yeah,
we can say quote unquote the Commanders dominated, but the fact that we had we got the first play by Swift and then we scored again, like it just. Yeah, we had a lead and we blew a lead. Like that's like the worst thing in like modern pro sports is having a lead and then losing it. Why do you think people still talk about 28-3? Right?
I'm choking.
Yeah. Like it was just overall bad. So I don't know if I should blame Ryan Poles. I feel like he's been a good GM, but bro, come on. You saw what happened. You were there.
Well, he came in the same year as Eberflus. So I've always thought, and this is, I guess, a little side tangent, but I've always thought that he maybe Eberflus isn't his guy. And maybe he's waiting for the right opportunity to fire Matt Eberflus. But he had that opportunity last offseason.
Sure did.
So I don't know what the, I guess, holdup was.
Holdup is, yeah.
But he did not hire Eberflus because he got hired at the same time as him. Mm-hmm. So I'm interested to see what he feels about Eberflus now. That would be something
that would be something. But I want to ask you, Mike, what the heck happened to the offense yesterday?
So I think that it was a combination of a lot of Achilles heels that the Bears have had so far this year. First of all, they've been terrible in the first quarter. Yeah. They have been really bad. They have come out every single week looking bad offensively, at least the first 4 or 5 drives of the game. Jacksonville, they caught fire, throughout the rest of the game, but they have not been a good first quarter team. And I think that speaks to the lack of preparation from Shane Waldron, right? He does not have a good game script. In fact, he didn't have a game script until a couple of weeks ago. He does not scheme guys open. He doesn't take advantage of what the defense has shown on film throughout the weeks, right? I think that's just a huge lack of coaching on his part. Caleb Williams also did not have a good first 3 quarters, like I mentioned. He was inaccurate. He was a little jittery. And another Achilles heel is the offensive line, right? Especially when you lose Braxton Jones for the majority of the game, like the Bears did. They just have no time to develop routes down the field. They don't have running lanes half the time. Like Caleb Williams is having to move off platform and create with his legs, which he's very good at. But NFL offenses are about timing. They're about precision. They're about accuracy. And when those things get thrown off because of the pass rush, you're kind of up in the air, like what's going to go on. So I think it's the combination of those 3 things. I don't think the Commanders' defense is particularly good. They've been one of the worst units in the NFL this year so far. So that's why I really thought that the Bears' offense would have a nice day. Again, like I said, their defensive line is solid, but I just, man, and then like I said, like, where was DJ Moore for 90% of this game? Where was Cole Kmet? Rome Odunze got involved a little bit, but why are we throwing
too late?
Yeah, why are we throwing it to Gerald Everett in the first? Like, no. Again, I don't know what his obsession is with Gerald Everett. It's really, really odd to me. But again, we have good players. Like, the Bears' issue is not talent. They have good skill position players. They just, in key situations, in key moments, for chunks of games, can't seem to get the ball to those guys. And I've mentioned it all year. That was Shane Waldron's problem in Seattle, right? DK Metcalf would go entire quarters without getting targets. Tyler Lockett, Kenneth Walker, whoever. And we're seeing the same problems happen with the Bears.
Yeah.
And, you know, my mom likes to tell me this all the time. When you do the same thing over and over and over again, you expect a different result, you're insane.
Yeah, insanity.
It's insanity. And I think he's insane, unfortunately. So
it's time to send him to the
Arkham Asylum.
Arkham Asylum.
Shane Waldron. All right.
Yeah.
Justin, do you think the Bears have a culture problem?
No, I don't think it's a culture problem. I think it's a coaching problem because you just said we can win the game. We actually had a lead in this game. It wasn't like we sat up here and got blown out and we just played god awful. So I don't think it's a culture problem, but I do think it's a coaching problem in how we're setting up our different schemes and different plays. And this is not the first time this season that we sat up here and been like, why was this play called?
Yeah.
Why are we having this person receive the ball at this time?
Yeah.
So I don't really think it's a culture problem. In fact, I love our Bears culture from a couple of years ago where it's kind of stagnant and boring.
Yeah.
I love the energy of Caleb Williams. I love the energy of some of our defensive players. Like, that is what you want. You want a young and upcoming team that shows potential, which we do have here. But the problem is that our play calling is so trash that it creates questions like these, like, do we have a culture problem? We don't, but the scary thing is it can become a culture problem if mistakes like these keep happening. Then it's like, oh, they're the Chicago Bears. That's what they're known for, right? Yeah. And our players aren't really known for that because this is the first year of having all of these great guys on our squad. Yeah. But you know, coaching has a lot of reasons to why we're playing this way. So
you're saying it's more of a schematic thing than it is a culture.
No, because I mean, the only real like got to be culture thing you could say is the first couple of weeks when it was DJ Moore and Caleb Williams are not getting along. But as you could see, as they started winning, things were fine. So you know, I think it's more, you know, of what you said. It's not really more of a culture problem in my opinion. So
but I think I agree with you by and large. I think the only rebuttal I might have is the Tyreek Stevenson thing at the end.
Sure, that's
something that
was a. He's not a rookie, but you know,
that's something you see from like bad college teams. Like, do you remember a while ago? I remember a couple of years ago, and this is kind of off topic, but it's reminiscent. Do you remember a couple of years ago that Florida player that threw the LSU guys cleat? And they got the 15-yard penalty, and then the LSU team won. Like, that's kind of what that reminds me of, in the sense of like just complete negligence for the game, complete just like, I mean, you can insert whatever, you know, choice word you want to use, but that was dumb. That was just straight up dumb. And I remember that video of him just looking at the crowd, and that makes every Bears fan blood boil. I sent it to Justin. He said the guy should be running laps all week. He should be the best conditioned player I've ever seen next week. But I think the last question that we have, I think we can both take a swing at this. What do the Bears need to fix this? And I'll start. They need to fire Matt Eberflus. Matt Eberflus needs to go. Shane Waldron needs to go. Neither one of those coaches have elevated this team in any substantial way. Right? Matt Eberflus he has coached a good defense. Absolutely great job. That is something that could be done by a really good defensive coordinator. Right? I have not seen – I mean, this Bears unit is an all-time elite. They're very, very good. But they also have really good players. And I think that a really good defensive coordinator could get a similar result. But when you look at the Bears, they are ill-prepared. They are situationally poor. They have so many they had so many procedural penalties yesterday. False starts. They had delay of games. They had everything. It was just bad. It was a poorly coached team. And then Shane Waldron, like we've said, has been severely holding back this offense. I think the Bears need to fire Matt Eberflus. That's why I've kind of said from the beginning, I don't think this is our year to be back.
No.
I think this is the building block year. I think this is Caleb Williams' rookie year. You know, most great artists, their first album isn't their best album, right? You gotta work through it a little bit before you get to, you know, To Pimp a Butterfly or one of those good ones, right?
Of course,
But I think that the Bears need to clean house with their coaching staff. I don't really have a problem with the players on their roster. I think that they have a good team on paper. But this coaching staff,
It's terrible.
they just need to be taken out like garbage on Thursday afternoon.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I mean, that's the same thing. I mean, we need to have a different head coach. I mean, I think the Matt Eberflus era was great, but now it's time to end it. Yep. And, we need somebody who is more experienced on the offensive side because, he's known as a defensive coach, which our defense, I mean, yes, we let them score 18 points, but it was an ugly game if you actually watched it, right?
Yeah. Even with the Hail Mary, 18 points isn't bad.
It's not bad at all, right? Yeah. So our defense is still pretty good, but our offense needs to be a lot better, and I just don't think he's the man for the job, unfortunately.
Do you have – I guess we can talk about this for a second.
Yeah, go ahead.
Do you have any potential coaches that you're looking for in 2025 to go to the Bears? Because I have one that I would love.
Go for it. Yeah,
Ben Johnson. Offensive coordinator, Detroit Lions.
Yeah.
When you look at the Lions, they are so talented, and he squeezes every ounce of ability out of his players. David Montgomery looks like prime Emmitt Smith.
No,
right?
seriously,
Jahmyr Gibbs
right?
looks like Barry Sanders. Jared Goff looks like Peyton Manning. Amon-Ra St. Brown is like Jerry Rice. Like these guys are performing very well. He is situationally sound. He knows when to kind of get cute and fancy and run all these little trick plays, which he's better at than I think anybody in the NFL. But he also knows that the Lions can be a smash-mouth football team. Yeah. And they can run the ball down teams' throat. I would love if Ben Johnson would want to take over for the Chicago Bears. Now, he was a hot coaching commodity last year.
Yeah.
And I believe he was down to Seattle and Washington. And he didn't take either job. And I'm wondering why he didn't take Washington, because I personally would have think that would be a very attractive job, especially considering they were going to get Jayden Daniels.
Yeah.
But maybe, just maybe, he was holding out for Caleb Williams and the Bears.
Maybe.
Because the Bears coaching job, if it opens up in come, January, February, would be one of the best jobs that we've seen open in a long time.
Yeah.
You have a stud quarterback. You have weapons all over the field.
Yeah.
You have a great defense. Don't get me wrong, the division's hard.
Yeah.
But the NFC as a whole is not as good as it was a couple of years ago.
Right.
I mean, there would be a lot of head coaches that would really, really want this job come January.
Yeah.
And I would love if Ben Johnson would come be the head coach of the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's a very excellent, great pick. I think, he would definitely show some improvement to our team. And I think overall, that's what we're looking for, right? We're looking for somebody who has the experience like him and is able to not, like, I don't mind coaches. I mean, I guess I'll say this. I think definitely if you become a head coach and you're a defensive coordinator, that's great. But also, like, I want somebody who is kind of great on both sides, and I think definitely he's the man for the job for sure.
Yeah, and he's coming from Detroit, which you mentioned. We talked about the culture of the Bears, which it's trending up. Good young players, good personalities, good people. He's coming from Detroit, which Dan Campbell, that's his whole thing, is culture, right?
Yeah.
Dan Campbell is not really an X's and O's offensive guru, whatever. He is we changed the culture in Detroit. And Ben Johnson has been his right-hand man to kind of support him schematically on the offensive side of the ball.
Right, yeah.
They've been a great duo so far. But Ben Johnson has seen all of the good things that Detroit has done culturally to change around their franchise. Bring that element over. Bring the offensive mastermind over to Chicago. And I think that we have, it's been so long since we've had a good coach. Our last good coach, I think, was Lovie Smith.
Yeah.
Matt
Crazy.
I'll give him credit. Matt Nagy had a good year and a half.
Sure, yeah.
But Lovie Smith, he was a good coach.
I wonder what he's doing. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, right. He got fired after going, I believe it was 10-6, which
crazy.
Bears would kill for 10-6.
10-6 right now. Yeah.
Last thing I'll say about Matt Eberflus, I forgot to mention this earlier. His road record as head coach of the Chicago Bears is 3-17. He is winning. What is that? That's 15% of his games.
Yeah.
He's winning 15% of his games as the head coach of the Bears on the road. All right, let's move on. Next, we have our game preview. Next week, we play the Arizona Cardinals in Arizona. The Arizona Cardinals won a thriller yesterday against the Miami Dolphins, 28-27. They spoiled Tua's homecoming. The Cardinals, I think, are an interesting team because on paper, they're pretty good offensively. But they're not a very good team. So my first question to you, Justin, before we talk about, I guess, the Cardinals and their personnel, what do the Bears need to do on their end to bounce back against Arizona?
make sure you run fourth quarter plays, and just in case Hail Mary plays, I would start off with that. Just in case.
Kyler Murray's done that in the past.
Yeah,
so
right.
Yeah.
So, but I definitely think what we need to do to bounce back is to look at the games that we dominated. Right. This is not like a Detroit or a Green Bay. Like they're 500, right? But they're an interesting team. They randomly win games and they randomly lose games at the same time. So I think one of the biggest things that we need to do to bounce back is to go to what works, right? I think in the last game against London, like let's mix it up a little bit. Let's have a couple of short runs. Let's have a couple of short throws. Let's get back to what we were accustomed to doing. I think the defense, will obviously shine and they will carry, but definitely let's go back to what we did in the past couple of previous games. We were dominating against so teams, and kind of focus on that. I think definitely. The biggest thing is we have to contain Kyler Murray because he's a scrambler guy and he's a little guy. So smaller quarterbacks are harder to catch. They're like mice. You gotta grab him or something.
Like
No, seriously. Yeah. But we must contain Kyler Murray. I think another good matchup is going to be Marvin Harrison Jr. The guy we were quote unquote people wanted us to take.
We're going to keep Justin Fields and take Marvin Harrison.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So that'll definitely be a guy to keep an eye on. James Conner, another guy to keep an eye on for sure. But those are kind of the people who I'm looking at like, hey, we must contain them if we're going to win this game. I definitely think our defense is going to be the one that'll shine, but offensively is where I'm kind of concerned. It's another road game. Yeah. I haven't really been successful this season on the road, but I think those are kind of the points that I'm looking at to see, okay, this is how we're going to bounce back and win. I don't know if you wanted to give any thought about that.
No, I think great point on I was going to talk about the road game as well. Mm-hmm. Bears have not been good on the road. They need to fix that against Arizona. They absolutely need to start winning games on the road if they're going to have any chance of making the playoffs this year. I think another key to this game is they got to start fast.
Yes.
They have started sluggish all year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like I mentioned, Shane Waldron has not come prepared. He has not come with a adequate game script.
Yeah.
The Bears offense has not clicked early on in the game. They need to do that against the Arizona Cardinals.
Mm-hmm.
Get some positive momentum. Get the game off right. Maybe even go down the field. I know this is like foreign to Bears fans. Yeah. But let's go down the field and let's score an opening drive touchdown.
Yeah.
Why not? I feel like that would just do so much good for not only the game and their chances to win, but just their morale. I mean, there's human beings out there. They understand that stuff's not going right.
Yeah.
And to get an opening drive touchdown, I think would be huge.
Yeah.
But you mentioned, Marvin Harrison, James Conner, Kyler Murray.
Yeah.
I would also like to mention Trey McBride, who is their leading receiver so far in the year so far. 446 yards, 42 catches, 42 touchdowns. That would be insane. 42 catches. He is one of the better tight ends in the NFL. Now, the Cardinals are not at all strapped for talent on the offensive side of the ball. They got dudes, right? Even Michael Wilson, Greg Dortch. I think they got a lot of good players. So, again, we're going to need the Bears defense to be good once again this year. And they've been good all year long. The most they've given up this year is, I believe, 21 to Houston. They have been solid all year long. So, in my opinion, the key is to take advantage of this subpar Arizona defense. Their defense right now, they're not very good, right? Their leading sacker only has 3 sacks, and it's Dennis Gardeck. Can't say I've ever heard of him before, and that's pretty rare because I know just about everybody. Right?
Yeah. If Mike doesn't know him, you're trash. No, I'm kidding.
Pick a new career. Just kidding. But no, like their defense, they have not gotten pressure a lot this year. Their defensive backs are very young and inexperienced.
Yeah.
Minus, of course, Budda Baker, who's been excellent, but I think he's leaning towards the end of his career, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I think that this Bears offense, they need to come out swinging. They need to have a great game. The Cardinals defense is probably one of the worst defenses we're going to play the rest of the year on. If this Bears offense struggles again, I mean, we're staring down the barrel of, very concerning second half of the year.
Yeah.
So offensively, we need to get back on track. Caleb needs to put together 4 good quarters. Again, he was coming off 3 straight good games. Did not have a good game yesterday, but of course, like I said, we've talked about that before. I think my last point that I would like to make before we go into our score predictions. Do you think, Justin, that this is a must-win game for the Bears?
100%, right? And this is if we won't even make a playoff push. I mean, our division is like insanely hard this year to even try to get the first or second place to even try to make the playoffs. I think I saw something yesterday that if we ended the season today, we would actually face the Commanders as a 2 seed. I was like, what?
There is a strong possibility that we play the Commanders again this year.
Yeah. So definitely this is a must-win game because after this, it's I believe it's New England, and then that's the gauntlet where you face Detroit and Green Bay and San Francisco. So definitely, like, we must win this game. I believe in, like, our first episode that we had, like, we have to win the freebie ones, and this is another freebie one. So let's go out there, let's start fast and stay ahead of the Cardinals, right? And be able to contain Kyler Murray, Marvin Harrison Jr., and others to try to, get back on track. So
yeah. I think this definitely is a must-win game as well. If you look at our playoff chances, we're sitting right now at 500. We're 500.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't ever want to go below 500. The Bears have been at 500 or better since the loss to the Texans. I'm sorry, since the loss to the Colts. And this Bears team, again, they've had so much positive momentum.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, we need to accumulate as many wins as possible because then it's after New England. You said Green Bay, Minnesota, Detroit, San Fran, Minnesota, Detroit. I'm looking through my mic here. Seattle, Green Bay. Like, it does not get easier at all.
No.
And if we can kind of sit on a cushion of some nice wins, that's why, again, the Commanders game is so frustrating because they had the win in their hand.
They sure did,
The Bears could be 5-3 right now, playing Arizona and New England. Could easily be 7-3 going into the gauntlet, and that gives you some cushion.
Yeah.
Now they're 4-4. They're playing Arizona.
Yep.
And they're playing New England.
Yeah.
You drop one of those games, you're at 500 before the gauntlet.
Yep.
And that, to me, is so scary. So this is absolutely a must-win game for the Bears. They need to take care of business against the Arizona Cardinals. And I might even venture to say, maybe this is bold, I think if the Bears lose this game, I think their playoff chances might go out the window.
I think so, too.
They just might go out the window.
I don't even think it's bold. I think it's realistic, right?
Yeah.
Because if our schedule was lined up a little bit different, where we were facing kind of weaker teams in the NFL, but I mean, Detroit 6-1, Green Bay 6-2, Minnesota 5-2. So there isn't a lot of room for error in these last couple of weeks of the season. So it's a must-win. San
Francisco's getting back on track.
Yeah, right. Yeah. They just beat the Cowboys last night. So we got to win this game.
Yeah, absolutely.
No ifs, ands, or buts.
Last thing.
Yep.
Score prediction.
Okay.
You go first.
All right, Chicago, don't let me down. I'm going to say the Bears will win, but it's going to be a close one, 27-24 against the Cardinals.
I was going to go – I'm in the similar vein. I don't think we kick the crap out of the Cardinals, but I think it's 23-20. Bears win. I think the offense does well. I think Arizona puts up a fight, but I do think the Bears take care of business in this one. But, Justin, I mean, it's so funny how the roller coaster of the season goes, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We were so low after the Texans and Colts game. Then Rams, Panthers, and Jaguars games, we were up here. We're thinking, oh, my gosh, whatever. Then the Commanders game.
It just goes straight back down.
And then let them lose to Arizona. We're going even in the basement. Like, it's just, it is going to be rough. But thank you guys for watching this episode of Bears Talk today. Sorry to be a little somber in the beginning. My blood was boiling a little bit. Probably should go to my doctor and get my blood pressure checked out. But then again, when haven't I been able to do that after a Bears game, right?
Right.
So thank you guys for watching. Like I said, we're on YouTube. We're on ACTV. Make sure to tune in live. We appreciate all the support that we've gotten this week. We had a huge week for subscribers and views and everything. So appreciate all of you guys.
Of course.
I'm pretty good.
No, of course. Thank you guys for watching, and we will see you again next week, hopefully with a Bears win.
Hopefully.
All right.